had your 100K year, and are you just doing this alone? Do you have do you have an employee? No employee?
No.
Okay, I know. We definitely gonna talk about that after this though. Because and here's the beauty: if you can get to 100K, you can get to 1 million. Like the beauty in products, it's all about your systems. Once you get your operations automated, baby.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yes,
what I love that you're doing though is you're a part of every aspect of your business. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to bringing on team members, you're going to know exactly what their qualifications should be. You're going to know what they should be doing. You're going to know what they're able to produce. You're going to have all of that laid out.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Nurse Boss Shift podcast, where shift happens. I'm Crystal Parker.
And it's your girl, Dr. Kiiyonna Jones.
Yes. And we are so excited today to be interviewing one of my friends who has blown up in her industry, to give you guys a little bit of advice and to hear about her journey, to see if you can see yourself in her journey and possibly fly in the entrepreneurial space like her. So I would like to welcome Miss Raquela Bonwell, aka Rockie, to the show. Hey, Raquela.
Hi. Hello. Thank you for having me.
Now, Raquela, you are up in Northern California still?
I'm in the Bay Area of California.
In the Bay Area. Okay, so when me and Rockie met, she was a traveling nurse down here in Southern California. And, you know, when you see your people on the unit, you're like, hey girl. But I think once we really start connecting, she flew off and flew up north where the big bag is. She flew up north to do some traveling up here. So I've been seeing her journey on social media of her hair care. She's the owner of Flower Child Loc Care. Her products are amazing. I use them. I need to order some more. So we're just here today, Raquela, to hear a little bit about your journey and how that all got started. So just go ahead and introduce yourself and your nursing background. What's your nursing background thus far?
Wonderful. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Raquela. I go by Rockie on all of my social medias. I'm a registered nurse of, I can't believe, closing in on 10 years. Most of my career was spent in the emergency room. I took a big leap of faith. I grew up in Kansas City, and I came to Southern California as a travel nurse. That's where I met Crystal when I was just 1 year into nursing. So I met her really early, and I did ER for most of my career, but the last 4 years I've been doing recovery. So that's been pretty much my journey.
Yes. Nice. Oh, I didn't know you were, well, maybe I did. God, it's been that long. Ooh, time flies.
It's been that long.
So you moved up north, and then tell us about your business and how you got started with that. Like, what was your aha moment, or did you dream about starting your own business? What was that journey like?
So I always wanted my own business, but I'm a workhorse. So I always was working. And in recovery, we work 8-hour shifts Monday through Friday. Well, I'm a per diem nurse, but I was just taking advantage of the hours, and I was always working 40 hours a week for like 2 years straight. Well, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, all of the per diem staff was unfortunately laid off. So it was kind of ironic. I was actually unemployed during the very first wave of the pandemic. So in that time, I was forced to sit still. And I said, okay, I've always wanted to journey into this entrepreneurship. And I noticed, because I joined a lot of Facebook groups, that Loc Facebook groups, and I noticed there was a need for education, and there was also a need for healthy Loc education space. Unfortunately, a lot of those Loc Facebook groups, there's a lot of hatred. There's a lot of, oh, if you don't do it this way, it's wrong. And I just noticed that there was a need, and also a need for high quality Loc care products, which are pretty hard to find. You're seeing them a little bit more now, but At the time, there were no lock products. I couldn't go to my loctician anymore. So I started researching, looking at YouTube videos, finding out how people were taking care of their locks in the meantime, since I was unable to go to the professional, and also just how to take better care of my locks. So that was the inspiration for the journey. And I'm a research junkie anyway. I'm a registered nurse. I'm an educator. You know, we wear so many hats. And I just started doing a bunch of research, and I started designing my logo. Everything with my brand is touched by my hands, from the logo to the products, to the packaging, to the customer service, social media. Everything is literally me. So that's how that journey started.
So being that you were researching and looking on YouTube and different things like that specifically for loc care, when you were getting into the business space, how were you navigating that? Like, were you listening to coaches? Did you have a coach, or were you just kind of trying to figure things out yourself? Because I know in COVID-19, when the pandemic first hit, we were all on lockdown, and I was also on lockdown too, because I was on maternity leave. So I watched, everybody at that time was having webinars and summits. Were you watching any of those, or how were you building up your business acumen?
So a lot of the business side and the financial side was a lot of my own research. But as far as social media goes and growing my social media, there were several coaches that I used or were following and still follow. King Ashley Ann is a really good one. Mogul Maker, Ariel Carr, and more recently, Lex, the CEO. She's really big with like business credit and things I've been looking more into. So sometimes I navigate to different coaches, kind of depending on where I am in my journey. And I still pay attention to all of those coaches and things of that nature. So they all had different little tidbits and nuggets, along with my own research, that I was just able to kind of piece those together.
Love it. Kiiyonna, did you have a question?
Did you have any like coaching though, or was it like any formal coaching? Was this just all passion driven and like, because that's very unique and actually like commendable, because a lot of us, I know I lean heavily on like mentorship and coaching. But did you find that you were just like, it was one of those times because of the fact that you had a lot of thinking time and you sat down, that you were just able to push through it? Like, how were you able to still continue to show up every day?
Well, I did not have like a singular coach. I did not. I was totally self-driven. I was raised by entrepreneurial women in my family. My great grandmother was an iconic hairstylist in the Kansas City area. So watching her growing up and just her determination, her perseverance, it just kind of came natural to me, really. So I did not have a business coach. I really did a lot of just the trial and error. At one point, about a year ago, because we've been in business like 2.5 years, about a year ago, I did do this class, but I didn't feel like I really gained that much from it, unfortunately. But there was never a point where I had like a one-on-one coach that was teaching me the business side, teaching me the finances side. It was all just my own research and then also just being a nurse and being a researcher anyway. It just came natural to me, and I just kind of pieced things together as I went along.
Yeah, because I've seen your journey of growth, and with the my products business, I feel like I needed so much coaching, but I saw you and you were doing your thing on social, and it came easy to you, or it seemed like it came easy to you, just marketing and having that passion for your products. So I've always admired that, watching your journey. How has your journey gone from when those first couple weeks when you opened, to now where you are as far as getting clients and building your brand? How has that gone for you?
It has been a complete turning point. At the beginning, I was so nervous, and also perfecting my craft came with time. I believe I've perfected my products and the formulas and everything, at least for the last year or so. But in the very beginning, I really was still experimenting. But it just came easily to me. And I started researching the different type of oils that were good for the hair and skin, because I wanted everything to be able to be multi-use. So hair and skin. So in the beginning, I think I had some challenges with, okay, some of the formulas, some of the mixtures, but other than that, the formula came pretty easily to me, and that came with the research as well. But in the beginning, I started off completely social media, like on Facebook is where I started first. Family and friends, telling them what my ideas were. And then I made a Facebook page, and that was doing really well. Well, then I started listening to Ariel Carr, who's Instagram focused only. And my Instagram started to grow more than my Facebook. So I said, well, I'll just feed what's growing. And I'm trying to get us to 10,000. We're really close. We're like at 8,600 or something like that. So I'm trying to get there. But all of it comes with just time and experience and learning, because there's strategy for social media, as you both know as well. There's strategies you have to learn. It's always changing. Instagram's changing something every week, seems like. TikTok as well. So I've just recently started getting into TikTok as well. So, but my Instagram is my main platform, and just listening to the different coaches, learning the strategies, learning how to use ads, which is, those are ever changing as well. So I feel like Instagram ads has worked the best for me. So those are all things you just have to kind of learn as you go, unless you do the route of taking on a one-on-one coach or something like that. But I enjoyed the process, and I enjoyed the journey of learning things on my own and not being in a rush. I think in the beginning I was in a rush to get that instant success that you see online. Somebody went to bed one night and they wake up and they're famous now, which actually happened to a guy that I went to high school with, Kaylin Allen. So you look at other, learning to just enjoy the journey and not compare yourself to others. Enjoy it. I enjoy teaching. That's something you both know we do in our careers. So I enjoy teaching. I enjoy education. I enjoy impact and inspiration.
Yes, and you're still making your products, right?
Oh, sorry.
I still make my own products. Yes.
Wow. Woo.
Yes.
Go ahead, Key.
Everything is still me at this point.
I was going to ask you, you said your journey is 7 years. I mean, you've been doing it for about 7 years, and I'm looking at your locks. I'm like, she must have just started growing her locks about that time. Were you already locked up, or like, wasn't you learning while you were growing your locks, and then that's how it came about? I know you said your grandma was already into hair care, but like, there's a passion here and I'm just wondering, is it stem from your own journey?
So my lock journey has been 7 years, but my business journey has only been 2.5. So I was very inspired by my lock journey, and the fact I would get a lot of compliments. People like, oh, I love your locks. What do you use? That's a pretty typical conversation between two locked people. So just being pretty fortunate and keeping up with my lock maintenance. I'm a person that goes to the loctician once a month. And I believe in that. And the consistency, teaching people that consistency and routine are very key with having locks and retaining your moisture. So yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of my natural hair care journey, because I went natural probably around, even though I'm not natural right now, but probably around 6 years ago or so. And it definitely is a journey, and it's definitely inspiring. You get to learn your hair, be patient with it. I remember they used to say, your hair needs moisture, so when it's dry. And I honestly didn't know, well, how do I know when my hair is dry? And it still took me some months before I realized, when my hair has stuff in it, it doesn't feel how it does when it's dry. So that whole journey is definitely inspiring to make you want to, like you said, and especially being locked, because that's such a niche market, that people still need products, still need education, like you said. So it's just amazing to take something you were already so passionate about, which is what we teach our students in the Nurse Boss Shift, to take something you're passionate about and start there, and then start teaching other people, because most likely, like you said, between two locked people, you guys have the same question. And, you know, I'm sure your journeys are a little bit similar in some type of way.
Yes, definitely a journey. I was natural 4 years before I was locked. So that was even a journey. And I was a new nurse around the time I decided to become locked, you know, working those 12-hour shifts. I was working PMs. I was getting home at 2 a.m. And I'm like, I do not have the energy to stand here and do a twist out. So really my lock journey started because I needed something a little bit lower maintenance for myself. And it took me about 6 months to actually decide, but I had a high school friend who had started her locks and they were so pretty. And I was just like, all right, I'll just give it a chance, you know? So I did that, but it has been a journey. When I started my locks 7 years ago, there wasn't the education that there is now. There wasn't products either. So a lot of, you know, I made a lot of mistakes in my early lock journey. So I try to let my customers and clients know that there's no such thing as a perfect lock journey or even hair journey, period. So it's okay if you were doing something one way because of ignorance and you just didn't know, but hey, we're here to learn. This is a healthy space, no shaming each other like those horrible lock groups. So that was something I really wanted to make, you know, the forefront for Flower Child was a healthy lock space where we can ask questions, have good hair care products. I think most of my customers I think we're at like 76% women. My men are coming along, but mostly women. So a sisterhood in a sense as well.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, my brain, what was I going to ask you? Oh,
well, I got to go.
The nurse.
Go ahead. Nurse mom.
Oh,
overworked.
no, I was just, right. No, I was just going to kind of, just from the business aspect though, I didn't realize that you had only been in business for 2 years. That makes it even more amazing, first of all. I was like, that's 24 months. Like that's not a lot of time at all. But what I was going to say from a business perspective though, like, cause you have our audience are full of aspiring and current nurse entrepreneurs. And some of them may have this idea. It may not be hair care. It could be a certain food. It could be, you know, anything that's not nursing related. Did you ever question that? Did you ever feel like if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I have to be in this nurse sphere, right? Because we know, even though we lean on a lot of the skills we have kind of cultivated in nursing, but like the hair care is just, again, you don't have to be a nurse to do that. So did you ever feel conflicted? And then how did you go about like overcoming that?
I never really felt conflicted. I felt like it was something I had a passion and a lot of education to give to others. It was never something I felt super conflicted about. I will say, before I decided to do hair care, I was thinking about doing a smoothie business, you know, something where I could incorporate nursing and things like that. But I've come to find actually in the lock journey and in the lock, starting this lock-based business, that I'm still using a lot of my nursing, breaking things down to a science so people understand why we're hydrating, why we're moisturizing, why we're using certain oils, why we're using sulfate-free shampoos, things like that. So I find myself still incorporating the nursing in some way in the health aspect because all products are vegan and they're good for hair and skin. So I wanted to make sure that just like we're, you know, treating our bodies and eating healthy and drinking water, you know, your locks need water too. Your hair needs water. And that was something not taught when I was growing up. And I'm sure you both have had that similar experiences, but there was never like a confliction about, oh, well, am I not a nurse enough or anything like that? Because in the beginning, I was still doing nursing a lot. I was still working full time. And honestly, when 2021 was coming, I told myself, okay, I'm going to scale down from working 5 days a week at the hospital to 2 days only. I had saved up money, you know, when I was working the 2 years straight, 40 hours. So I told myself I'm going to live beneath my means. That way I have more time to pour into my business and see the growth there. Because if I keep working these 40 hours at the hospital, I'm never going to have the time or the energy to really venture into this entrepreneurship like I wanted to. So that was a sacrifice I had to make, and I'm so glad.
That was my question I was going to ask you, because a lot of times our nurses are so, I don't want to say addicted, but you know, that money, the overtime, that we always tell them, start small, start a side hustle, and then you can scale it up. A lot of times we like to go nurses 0 from 100. It's like, you don't have to be a full-time entrepreneur, just start somewhere. So talk to us a little bit more about your decision, and cause a lot of people want to know, well, how do I know when I can scale back? And you know, like you said, you have to have those talks with yourself. Like, okay, if I'm giving a hospital 40 hours a week, then that's less time I have to work on my business. So you have to make that shift to choose your business over that. So talk to us a little bit about that journey of deciding to scale back at work.
Okay. So I started the business July of 2020. So as the new year was rolling around for 2021, I just found myself exhausted. I'm doing this new business. I'm still developing things. I'm getting quite a few orders in, and I just was so burnt out. And I just told myself something's got to give. And I was already per diem for 2 years, but I went from 40 hours per diem 2 years to 0 when the shelter in place hit. So that's kind of when those questions started to come about for myself. Well, how can I create my own wealth? Outside of, because hospitals are businesses too. Let's be honest. Yes. So, and being a per diem employee, you're kind of the first to get cut if something, goes down. So I had to tell myself, well, you've saved up all this money from the 2 years of working really hard. And now it's time to sit down, look at my monthly budget and see what I can live off of, so that I can pour more of my energy into creating my own wealth and into growing my business, because I found myself wanting that success a little bit more, and I'm just like, I'm not where I want to be because I'm working so much. So that hunger was just feeding me to the point where I said, okay, you can do this. And being a nurse a long time, we are used to going to work and getting a bag really quick. So I told myself, what can I live off of, and just go a little bit beneath my means. That way I have more time and energy to pour into growing the business. And that's one of the decisions I thank myself so much for doing. And I encourage any nurse who's trying to get into entrepreneurship, scale back if you can, if it fits your monthly budget, or if you have a partner or whatnot. Just scale back and live a little bit beneath your means. That way you have time to really give what you want to see grow, the time and effort.
So you mean you're not buying Chanel purses or going on lavish vacations every other week?
Absolutely not. You know what? I've never been a big designer person. Never. But I am a traveler. I love to travel. That was where most of my leisure money was spent. Right. So, of course, we weren't traveling anyway because it was the pandemic, still in 2021. So I said, well, hey, I was paying my car off at the time too. So I was just figuring out ways to basically just get by with a little bit less.
And cut back.
Because even working 2 to 3 days a week is still pretty good money. But it was not like the 5 days a week, right? But I found myself more rested. I found myself able to get back into healthier routines just by having a little bit more time to myself.
What I wanted to ask you is, and so this is me thinking like, the high level part of entrepreneur, and that is, it starts here, right? Yeah, and absolutely. So what would you say, like, it had to be something. I'm trying to pull it out. Did you read more? Did you meditate more? Like, what did you do in here? Like, maybe you didn't get a coach because maybe you already had the network. Like you said, you have family of entrepreneurs. A lot of us don't have it, but it's something that triggered you, or that made you be willing to study so hard and like really be able to identify and isolate the need for this market? Like, what was, it had to be something. I know you're tapping into nursing, but like, can you think about, because I'm just thinking about the people who are going to be listening to this and what they're going to say is like, well, she seems smart. Like, of course she could do it. Like, they always try to find a way to escape out of the responsibility of showing up as the best version of yourself. And I just feel like it takes a lot of thoughtfulness on our part that a lot of people don't even spend time in that because we're so hustle. So can you think of any pivotal moments aside of pandemic was one of them, but like where you had to really work on in here to manifest this in just 2 years?
I'm trying to think of a pivotal moment. I think it was just honestly, it was just a conversation with myself. Like, you can do this. You can do this. I saw a couple of other people launching, brands, and especially during the pandemic where everybody kind of had that time, and you saw a lot of people launching small businesses. And I started to see that and I got inspired.
Yeah.
I just was like, well, and like I said, I wanted to find a way to generate wealth for myself because I got literally cut for 2 months. And at the time it was like until further notice. I can look back now and say it was 2 months, but at the time they were like, you're cut until further notice. So it just really drove me to be like, okay, what do you have to do to make your own money? What do you have to do to make these quality products? And like I said, I had already seen the need because I had been in those Facebook lock groups and I swear every day somebody asks about products. They ask about products. They ask a lock care question. So it really was just like, that's what clicked it was just, and the fact that I was not able to go to the loctician anymore because before that I wasn't doing a bunch of maintenance in between. So now I had to figure out the maintenance. I had to figure out how am I going to get my hair retwisted, all those things. So I think just all that meshing together really was the point. Like the pandemic really was that point. And seeing other entrepreneurs launching stuff. And I'm like, well, shoot, if they can do it, why can't I?
That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
It was just inspirational.
That is key.
It was just an inspirational, creative time because like I said before, I was always a workhorse. I'm at work, I'm punching the clock, I'm not doing anything else. But since I had all this time on my hands, I was able to really pour into what I wanted to see grow and manifesting these ideas. I still have the notebook where I was writing down names of the company, products I wanted to do, what the ingredients would be. So I really was sitting down with myself and writing it down. And that is so key. You hear a lot of people say, write it down, but it really is a form of manifestation to write it down, make it plain, right? So, and then it all just flowed together.
Yes, I love that. I just wanted to add to that too. Just seeing somebody else do it gives you the fact that it gives you so much hope that you could do it as well. But then also being able and willing to make the necessary sacrifices. A lot of people, especially nurses, and I like that you mentioned, or I think you mentioned, Crystal, like you're not buying luxury bags and this and that. Like that's one of our handicaps as nurses because we are so busy living that life that we're not, and I'm generalizing, but we're not willing to make the necessary sacrifices so that we can show up as the best version of ourselves. So you decided, let me sit down, let me really take a hard look at my bills, so that I can still live my life, but I can make the necessary investments. And in that time, Raquela, there's so much growth that happens in the journey. And that is the biggest flex that people miss out on. It's not just that you're 2 years in and, you're making money and this and that. It's the person you become on the journey. And I think that nurses aren't willing to sacrifice who they are for who they need to become. That's the problem. And then when you start, like, you have to be honest with yourself about your spending. You have to be honest with yourself about so many things that we don't want to face Nobody wants to look in the
Absolutely.
mirror. Nobody wants to look in the mirror and have that hard conversation with yourself. So
Right.
I feel like, just based on what you're saying, that you were intentional in doing that. And I think a lot of people miss that part about it. They don't want to go through the ugly part. And then they have this idea that we have this job security, because that is the myth that circulates in our profession. And you are a perfect example. People probably say, oh, well, you know, she was in surgery, so yeah, that could happen to her. No, it can happen to you too. It is a business.
Yep. Absolutely.
And people need to understand that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I was unique in a sense as well, that I was already per diem. Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of nurses are in benefited roles where, you know, you have to show up a certain amount of days, certain amount of hours. So I was already kind of like in a good position to pull myself back or work more if I wanted to.
Yes.
And also just being single and no kids as well. I don't have people depending on, you know, a certain income level. I was able to just kind of be selfish in a moment and think about me and what I wanted to see grow.
Right.
So I think that's also a unique point for me as well, that other nurses might not have opportunity.
Right. Right.
And if you ask me, more so, they need to do it if they have kids.
Yes.
They really need to make sure they have an additional stream of income. I'm sorry. Because
seriously.
Listen, if you only got you, that's great. So if anything happened, you can go crash on somebody's couch, whatever you need to do. But if you got kids and you got mouths to feed, that drives me more. I have kids, and my kids push me because I want so much more for them, and I want them to have the not just the life, but the experiences that I didn't have growing up. And so that's what motivates me even more. So
Yes, I agree with that. And being a single person with no kids, you know, yet maybe, that also motivates me to be like, okay, so when I do decide to, you know, settle down, have a family, I have this generational wealth to give to them. And that was another motivator as well.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, and to be able to spend more time with them, because that's a motivator for me with kids.
Once I figure out how to delegate some stuff.
Yes, we'll talk about that after. So we were talking about seeing other people blowing up. And they're launching their brands. Tell me about, because I see you post on social media where you'll have your order tickets running out the door from so many orders. So talk to me about your first time when you got a huge order, and how did that feel when that happened?
Ooh, this is exciting.
Oh, wow. Man, it feels amazing. Just the fact that somebody trusts you. It's because it's a trust. Anytime you're spending money, whether it's for you or someone else, it's a trust. So, and it's an integrity that I have to uphold myself to. So when I've gotten that first big order, I was just like, wow, you know. And I also try to take moments to celebrate the small wins. Maybe the first time I got 10 orders in a row or 20 orders in a row. Then that went to 50, 100, 150, 200. So it's just like, you know, recognizing those small wins, but also using that time to motivate me to go to the next level.
Right.
So I take my small wins. And there's been huge wins too. We made 6 figures last year. That was a huge, huge win.
And it's only been 2 years. Can we talk about that?
Yes. We're going to talk about that next. Well, let's go there.
You.
So you posted that you had your 6-figure business, and that wasn't the end of last year. That was maybe like October-ish, if I remember.
Yes.
Wow. How does that feel? 6 figures. Not in nursing.
Amazing. But that was the whole goal. I wanted to be able to make what I was making in nursing in the business. And that's why I scaled back. So once that happened, I was like, wow, you know, the dream I had for myself, the hard work, the sleepless nights, the, you know, dealing with customers, doing social media, you know, all that started to pay off. And it just felt amazing that I have all these supporters and all these customers, satisfied customers who are telling their friends. I get inboxes daily. Oh, you know, I told my friend, I'm so excited. I love the products. My locks are growing. My locks are hydrated. So that was just a huge win. And I try to stay humble, along the way. Okay, this is another milestone. What do we got to do to get to the next one? Take the moment, appreciate it,
Yes.
and we're going on. So huge win. I remember my friend was recording me when I was checking my numbers on Shopify, and we just both started screaming. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like,
yes.
But
I love it. That's amazing.
It was amazing.
That's amazing. And let me ask you a question. So you had your 100K year, and are you just doing this alone? Do you have an employee? No employee?
No.
Okay, I know. We definitely gonna talk about that after this though. And here's the beauty: if you can get to 100K, you can get to 1 million. Like, the beauty in products, it's all about your systems. Once you get your operations automated, baby.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
what I love that you're doing though is you're a part of every aspect of your business. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to bringing on team members, you're going to know exactly what their qualifications should be. You're going to know what they should be doing. You're going to know what they're able to produce. You're going to have all of that laid out. So I'm just going to tell you right now, wouldn't be surprised if you make 500 or more in this year, because it's going to be, it's all about scaling now. Like, you've already mastered it. And I'm going to tell you something else. Your marketing, for somebody who, and I know you don't know nothing about marketing because you was a nurse, and that's something they don't teach us at all. So the fact that, and you haven't had a coach or anything like that yet, I'm going to tell you, I definitely recommend that you do, so that you can scale, because you're ready. But you don't have a coach yet. But once you start putting these things in place and start reinvesting that, I'm telling you, it's, and that is it. That's what we need to understand. We are continuously, I know I'm preaching, I always preach, but we continue to exchange the time for money. Right. We continue to exchange the time for money. When you have the value, you're supposed to exchange the value for money. And when you give out a good product, people can't wait to tell their friends about you. And it's almost like a brag. It's like, girl, I got this new hair product. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that I'm so happy for you. This is great. Yeah.
Likewise.
So much.
So at the end of our episodes, we always like to give our aspiring nurse entrepreneurs who are listening a little bit of homework, right? They might be sitting, listening to this episode thinking, okay, I'm going to do it. And get inspired by that. What are three, we call them homework. So what are three pieces of homework that you would give an aspiring entrepreneur in the beginning stages to be able to start their business?
Wonderful. So definitely, like we talked about in the podcast today, figure out how you can scale back at work. Okay. Because it's huge. Working as a nurse is very taxing on everything, your spirit, your health. I mean, the list goes on. So if you can find a way to scale back, or not able to scale back, find out ways to manage your time a little bit better, so you can get the time and opportunity to grow your business. So I would figure out ways, whether that's budgeting, whether that's time management, or what have you, a way where you can put a little bit more focus into your business, because that's very, very important. The second thing would definitely be consistency. Consistency is key. And when you listen to business coaches, they're going to tell you one of the number one reasons that businesses fail is the lack of consistency. You might start off running out the gate doing really well, and then maybe you got busy with something, or maybe you decided to pick up more at work, and now you've lost the momentum over here. Right. So definitely consistency. Stay consistent. Find ways. You have to find ways. And everybody's situation is unique. So you have to really sit down with yourself and figure out, what way can I make this work? And the third one is just persevering. You have to persevere. And I guess that goes with consistency, but you have to persevere through it.
persevere is like in the presence of obstacles, you still push through. That's
absolutely.
That people will give up when as soon as they encounter something. Oh, it ain't meant. It's not meant. That doesn't mean that. Right. You gotta persevere.
I think that's a key thing for me is I always kept that perseverance. Always kept that perseverance, even though I was tired, even though I felt like the business wasn't growing as fast as I want. You know, we see on social media, we want it to just blow up so fast, right? But you have to tell yourself, what can I handle? Because like I was saying earlier, I do this all on my own, and I'm a Capricorn, so I'm very meticulous and calculated with everything I do. And I've got my system down, you know. So, you know, it takes a system. It takes a system, okay? So
I'm laughing because I'm a Capricorn too. So I'm just
Capricorn sis. I love it. Crystal, what are you? Now I gotta know.
I'm Aquarius. I'm right behind. I'm Aquarius.
Birthday came yet or
no? It's on February 5th.
Not yet.
Yeah, and we're more like out here, like do. So yeah, we need some of that structure. Yeah,
you need a Capricorn in your life.
Yes, I have one. That's why I have one. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So personality is something as well. You know, like I said, I've always been a routine type of person. I've working in the hospital, schedules, working out daily life. So it's important to have the consistency, the perseverance to come over those obstacles, like you were saying, whether that's finances, whether that's stress at home, stress at work, because stress is everywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and I just found out that I enjoy working in solitude too. I just love it. I know things are getting done right. But I do know to scale even further, I'm going to have to delegate.
Yes.
So that's been a goal for me for 2023 is figure out where I can delegate.
Yeah.
Like you said, get a one-on-one coach where I can really scale this thing up and out. So
easily.
But yeah, those are my three things.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes. You have any last words, Kiiyonna? This has been such an amazing episode. Listening to this journey.
Raquela, you're absolutely amazing. And I just want, our listeners to know that Raquela is not the exception. She's the rule. You all are dope. We are all capable, you guys. It really just requires you to make a decision. I always say the only difference between a successful person and a person who's not successful is a decision. And so you have to decide to show up as the person now, not when the money is in your account, but right now. And Raquela, I feel like you are a perfect example of that. And what's possible for us. And I don't want to hear, people always make these limiting beliefs about themselves. And I just feel like us as nurses, we don't even, like you said, you're even using that in your hair care product business. And I just think we don't give ourselves enough credit. So thank you for showing our audience and our subscribers, what is possible for us to do that doesn't have to be the typical. And even though Crystal and I, we have eye hydration, ours is the typical, right? But I love when people are I love the atypical people because it really gets us outside of that. Oh, I gotta either do an IV hydration business or wellness or something. No, you don't. You just have to decide, figure out what and be passionate about it and show up every single day, whether the money is there or not. Continue to show up. That's it.
Absolutely. So. I got to come visit y'all's hydration clinic too.
Yes.
That's on the agenda.
Yes.
Please do.
Right.
So thank you so much. I listen, we are, we do these every single week and, but we do want people to know how they can find you. So give us all of your platforms and your contact information, your website, all that.
Yes. Okay. So my main platform is going to be Instagram. That's going to be at Flower Child Loc Care. Okay. It's all one word, no underscores or anything. Flower Child Loc Care. And then our website is the same, www.flowerchildloccare.com. You can find me on TikTok under the same and Facebook. We have a page as well, Flower Child Loc Care. So
and go buy her products. They're amazing.
You can find me pretty easy.
Yes, and your products again, they're vegan free, sulfate
you will
free.
not be disappointed.
And they're not just for locks. Let me tell
free.
you, I don't have locks and I love them. Her oils, her mist.
Yes.
If your hair is a little, going to the gym, you spray a little mist in there. Products are bomb.
I will be getting some for my son too.
Yes.
Remember I told you about him trying to grow his locks. So I'm going to get some, but my daughter, I have a 5-year-old. And so I didn't have natural hair growing up, but my kids, like I have a 25-year-old, she's been natural her life because I refuse to let her get a perm. So she is really good at hair care. So I'm going to listen, everybody, I'm going to tell them to go purchase it. Get some of your products because we have to definitely support each other, especially when you have quality product. It's like, it's a no-brainer.
Exactly.
Yes, I would say at least a quarter of my customers are just loose naturals. So you definitely don't have to have locks to use the products. But most of my education is geared towards the lock community.
Right. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Go ahead, Crystal.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Again, if you're listening to this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe. And also leave us a comment. Rate the show. That allows other nurses to find out about us and to be able to listen to all the gems that we drop weekly. And until next time.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.